Hi, everyone. My name is Madaleno, and I'm going to present a joint article with some of my colleagues. And the article is about participation, acceptance and motivation of students to in-class game-based learning. And this is a joint work with Elisabete VIEIRA and Daniel MAGUETA. We belong both to the, we all belong to the GovCop research unit and to the University of Aveiro, even if from different schools from the university. So about the motivation and goal to write this article, and I would like to say that this is a very beginning research that we are performing because we are in a joint project, and we thought it would be interesting to collect the information that we have in the literature. So this study intends to contribute to the analysis of the use of game-based learning platforms and their effects on the acquisition of skills by students. So we review some of the literature reported results to build a theory of competencies acquisitions through game-based learning. So it is based on the integration of educational games in the teaching and learning process, and it has fascinated many educational practitioners and researchers because it has a positive effect on the learning process. And why is that? Because it boosts the student motivation in the learning activities. So game-based learning can be effective in reducing asymmetries in achievement, particularly in number skills. And according to some authors, game-based learning improves and promotes students' environmental knowledge, attitudes, and behavior. So we intended to identify the main skills acquired by students in the learning process through the use of game-based learning strategies. And we were able to see that there is dispersed literature about the subject, where we can find some experiments that were conducted and results about the experience and opinion of students engaged in the process are reported. So our goal is to identify those that are more important and reported through the literature and motivate more professors to engage in classroom game-based learning. So it was possible to infer that the main problems are faced by professors who have to build all the setup of the games and the lack of convenient support for that. So institutional lack of support, time lack of support, and some monetary issues that also arise when professors try to engage in this kind of new learning strategies. So by recognizing the skills acquired by students in this learning process through game-based learning, we hope to motivate more professors to engage in this type of activities, provided they're offered potential and students' feedback opinions, which are very positive in fact. So through the basic literature review that we have already performed, we were able to identify some of the game-based learning and skills acquired by students. And our starting point is, in fact, Kian and Clark in 2016, which identified 29 studies that targeted 21st century skills as outcomes. From these are pointed critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration as the 21st century skills target as learning outcomes in game-based learning studies. More recently, Nosori et al. Mapped instructional support and learning outcomes of game-based learning based on some 29 publications from 2000 to 2019. From the reviewed articles, several outcomes are highlighted, and we have summarized them in Table 1. Table 1 talks about or presents the learning outcomes which were pointed in the literature by students through game-based learning. And these are argumentation skills, judgment, confidence, motivation, engagement, positive attitude, communication, improving scientific knowledge, interaction, critical thinking, interdisciplinary cooperation. It is effective, learning willingness. They were able to complete the challenge portions, sense of flow, interreligious and intercultural improvements, ideas integration, supportive, problem solving, interest, strengthening logical component, scientific argumentation, debate skills, interactive environment, enjoyment, good feelings, more accuracy, employment opportunities, improving summary writing and reading, increased learning, analysis skills, self-reported competence, supportive, collaborative argumentation discourse, greater awareness, scaffolding, positive attitude, fun and engagement, and peer interaction. These are all the opinions that students have reported in the literature, and we can sum up all these opinions from students which have been engaged in game-based learning and which were the skills they identified as the most important ones. To these already identified, we can add as well higher ratings of cognitive, epistemic, and social aspects as the higher contributions in terms of interaction and feedback. So, the main goal of this work was to analyze the use of game-based learning platforms, trying to identify their effects on the acquisition of skills by students. And based on this brief literature review already provided, we conclude that the students' opportunities to learn with game-based learning are superior in learning outcomes. Specifically, game-based learning can be effective in several ways, namely by reducing asymmetries in achievement, by reducing asymmetries in achievement, improving and promoting students' environmental knowledge, attitudes, and behavior, enhancing the learning effectiveness, increasing students' motivation and improving their learning attitudes, engaging in higher level of thinking skills, increasing students' engagement in the learning process and to provide their motivation to learn, strengthening the students' understanding, helping them retaining knowledge longer, enhance the level of student interest and encourages positive attitudes towards the subject being studied, and refining the students to become more active in class and retaining more information because they receive feedback of their involvement in the process. And finally, by reducing the learning anxiety. Nowadays, students are very involved with internet matters. So the use of new strategies in the learning process are fundamental for students to be engaged with this learning, especially at younger ages where it is harder to achieve the attention of the students that we have in the classrooms. So since the game-based learning is a new trend of research, there are a few direct comparisons among studies. So we intend to extend this brief article to perform a deeper bibliometric and bibliographic analysis using Scopus and WOS bibliographic databases to enhance results, expose the most recent literature, and provide insights for future applications and literature development regarding the thematic. We will apply this bibliometric technique with the expected outcome of this study, that is, how do game-based learners' practices strengthen the education effectiveness? To achieve this goal, and to move on to the next level to set the research design, we will collect data from the Scopus and Web of Science databases between 2010 and 2021. So to observe what have been the evolutional research studies published. Eventually, the bibliometric method will be used to do our analysis and produce the desired findings, as well as to proceed with the comparison of the results which were obtained to accomplish our research objectives, and provide as well useful avenues for future research. To sum up, results indicate that Game-based learning helps the learning process to be more effective, namely by reducing asymmetries in achievement, improving students' attitudes and behavior, helping them retain more information and knowledge longer, and also enhancing the level of student interest towards the subject being studied, as well as increasing students' motivation and reducing their learning anxiety, which needs to be considered by professors. Although we are completely aware of the difficulties which are inherent to this process of setting up all the game-based learning strategy. So some of them, like escape rooms, are harder to build, and we know that time and financial resources are something that we have to be aware of. So this was all for this presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to write me, and I'll be pleased to answer all the questions that should remain. So many thanks for your attention, and I hope to all of you to have a wonderful conference here in IBIMA 2022.